I think we're going live now, though.
Okay.
Preparing the stream. Here we are. We're live. We are
And
live on YouTube. This is amazing. Here we
now
go.
I have a question for you, Jennifer. Will we be seeing comments come up, or will you be seeing comments come up on your end?
Well, I don't know.
Because I think that you might be able.
I can see the comments.
Okay, so if
So,
they're, so yeah,
so I'm,
excellent.
I'm just going to have to do a little bit of kind of like working around the comments.
No, that's all cool.
Yeah, we're live. So hey everyone, aloha, this is Jennifer Victoria Bell, and this is my friend Joanie Eisinger of Joanie's White Light Healing. And we wanted to come together and talk about what's going on in the world, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
basically, I've been doing alternative healing work for a very long time, for over 20 years. I was an acupuncturist and did intuitive energy healing, and my intuition naturally opened. And so, and now I have mostly online programs and just really teaching people to work with basically universal light technologies, which is my modality. And Joanie, I will let Joanie introduce herself because she's wonderful.
Oh, thank you. So I was a licensed clinical social worker in New York City for 10 years. I did not believe in any of this, universal light technologies or anything of the sort of anything regarding what we will be talking about today. Around 2003, 4, 5, give or take, I became gifted with abilities and I was a believer. And now I am a psychic and a medium healer, spiritual guide, and I do this professionally. And I'm a believer. I reached out to Jennifer recently and I said, we just keep passing things along back and forth on Facebook Messenger. We're vibing, and I think that we should just get back and do something for everyone here, because there's a lot going on. Would you, Jennifer, like to share like how we even got together?
Well, so years ago in New Jersey, when I lived in New Jersey, I had heard of Joanie from my holistic dentist. And in the same week, I'd heard two people, and I can't remember the other person, mention Joanie. So I said, "Oh, let me have a session with Joanie. Let me check out Joanie." And so I had a session with Joanie, and it was wonderful. And then Joanie had used to have meetings, like gatherings, at her house, and so I'd go to those. And so we've known each other for a while now, and yeah.
And I experienced you because I learned that you are a healer and that you and I would experience each other. I would go to Madison where you
Yeah,
had an office,
yeah.
and I saw your office. I don't know if you have the same setup where you are now,
Mhm.
but between the crystals and the cards and the oils and all the
Had fun
shamanic,
stuff.
the table, the acupuncture, it just was,
Have some
and the
fun, give me.
homeopathy.
Oh yeah. All
Um,
that stuff is surrounding me on this little table right now.
there you go. And the energy was very brilliant. And we've been in touch,
Mm.
what, 10 years?
Yeah, it's got to be around
I
10.
think it's at least, I think it's 10 years. Um, and I feel like this is a bridge.
Yeah.
And I think it's important now because we have cheeky senses of humor, and we need this now. Yet we also, I believe that we also aren't afraid of going down deep, dark rabbit holes
Mm-hmm. That's true.
because our spirits want to know truth.
Yes. I think that that's what really our desire to be here today is to help people sense truth for themselves, and that there's so many people, I think, reaching out to both of us, like wondering what's going to happen and am I safe? Like, what's going to happen in the world, and how's it going to be? And there's a lot of information flying around from multiple sources, like from mainstream sources, alternative sources, channeled sources, light worker sources. We have a lot of information and disinformation. So
And
that's
the truthers and the whistleblowers and all that intel
yeah.
backstory stuff too in the alt
Mhm.
media thrown into the pot.
Yeah, it's all there. It's all there. And people, even someone today said it's like it's hard to know. Like it's like a whirlwind of information, and it's coming on very strong. Hello, we're moving into the Aquarius age, right? And
Mhm.
it's a lot of light, which is a lot more information that's coming into our fields of awareness. And not a lot of people have been doing that for a long period of time to be able to sense or discern like what's truth, what's not truth, or what information feels good for me to take in or not.
I'd ask you when at what point in your life did you go on the search for what we'd call truth?
I think I've always been there. um, and just building and building and building, because at 5 I quit religion, so I just knew it wasn't for me. And I was always told, don't get into politics because it's basically bullshit. So that was what things I heard. I didn't like scream it from the rooftops, especially when you're 5. But I just kept following that nudge, that inner nudge, and that inner voice, and then I just kept following things that interested me.
Okay. See,
And
I'm the
yeah.
converse. I was the one that was steeped in it,
Mm-hmm.
believed it, hook, line, and sinker, president of my youth group in the choir, and I would be the one that would be leading the Passover Seder. They called me rabbi. So when this stuff came in, it didn't jive whatsoever. I call myself Joni the Jew gone Rev. And I'm telling you, this stuff didn't work out very well. Okay. So my truth seeking, despite my having a button in high school that said, let's refrain from discussing politics and question authority,
Mm-hmm.
I still believed everything that was given to me, whether it was religion or through the news and
Yeah.
through authority figures.
Yeah, I mean, I have some of that, but I spend a lot of time. I did this interesting thing as a child where I insulated myself a lot, and not like in that weird empathic kind of like I can't handle the world way. It was just I need this space, and this is the space I'm going to be in, and the space I want to be in. So that insulation really did a lot for me. And then of
That's
course, like,
beautiful.
yeah, so that's just kind of like been step by step by step. And believe me, there's stuff that like I took on that I was like, oh shit, this was wrong. This is wrong.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
basically, in that disinformation field, right? I took some of that on for a while and went with it, and then it starts to fall apart. For me, what'll happen is it'll fall apart quickly. I can't hold, it feels like something I can't hold together. So one way I want to share my perception so that it helps people to start to tune in and notice how um, like that false kind of light untruth disintegrates. It will disintegrate no matter how much you try to hold on to it.
I think that that's a fabulous thing. Just you're talking about that because we all have experienced that where we have our truth
Mm-hmm.
and then something challenges it and it can feel very threatening
Mm-hmm.
because it became something that might have been an anchor for us. Like, okay, good. Now I know I have that opinion. And now I feel safe. And then all of a sudden it's like, ching, and then it just starts to crumble and we can't do anything about it because we're moving to the next phase. So that's, I think the key thing here is to accept that and even bless that we have come to yet another truth, because one truth can then
Yeah.
move into the next and the next, and we don't have to hang our hat on anything.
Right. And because I was watching your posts, and I was watching your posts about like, don't hang your hat like here, like you were like really encouraging people. And where did that come from for you? Like saying like, I'm taking in some information, but I'm not going to hang my hat on this.
I think series of disappointments of having done so in my life,
Mm-hmm.
where I believed that someone was the be all end all guru, and then I found out that they did something with, whether it was criminal or they betrayed someone. And through a series, multiple disappointments in my life, whether it's personal or even just a celebrity or a government official, whoever it was, it became such a mind blow that the repeated knockdowns, I realized I can't do this anymore, because if I do it, it's like a repeated shattering of the heart. And I don't even know when it started, but I know that I did it. I mean, I was a hero worshiper with musicians, and then relationships that I thought would be a forever, and then they were no longer. And I find it very comforting to know that I can come up with an idea, an opinion, but I don't have to sign it in blood. I don't have to tell someone that I promise them that that is so. I don't have to do anything with it, because in the end, it's really just a concept or a consciousness that it could be a collective, it could be a consciousness construct, it could just be some frequency that comes by me and makes me smile. And that's all it was good for, was that smile for the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I really love that. And I love how you're talking about these, these consciousness, different consciousnesses. And I want to ask you this question because I think it's an important question to ask. What do you really feel is truth? Like, if you had to define truth.
Well, I remember reading a spiritual channeled piece, and the higher consciousness that came through this person said the only truth is all is one. And after that, it's Baskin Robbins. It is a free for all, and that we're all part of the oneness. We are that collective, and that creator busted itself out to know itself better. So every God spark that is creator is coming up with their own respective truths. And that's all creator wanted. Creator, spirit, God, source, I am, presence, mother, father, God, whatever you want to call it, is that it doesn't matter. That to me, that's a pissa. That is liberating. Like, okay. And people are having difficulty today agreeing to disagree. But if we go to that spiritual place, if we consider that all is one, and then from there, it's just like one big great rodeo, then we were meant to agree to disagree. We were spirit. If spirit wanted conformity and uniformity, it wouldn't have busted itself out into a bazillion infinite, ever expanding parts.
Right. Well, when you use the Baskin Robbins analogy, I'm like, would you put rum raisin with mint chocolate chip? Probably not.
But you never know.
You never know.
You might have a speck of rum raisin and
you just don't know.
Chocolate chip. And they might you never know. Well, do you want my chocolate with my peanut butter with my chocolate? And you ended up with, multi-billion dollar candy. Who would have thunk? I would ask you, if I came to you and I didn't know what was going on, and I said, something's up in the world, what do you make of this, Jennifer? What would you say?
Well, usually the first thing I would do, I would say, I'll tell you what I think, but I want to hear what you think or feel about it first. One of the reasons, like if it were a client, because I would rather help them get into that place of trusting themselves and then kind of helping them to expand what they're sensing. And so part of it is, like, for years I did the thing that I really don't want to do anymore now, which is, and I will share my perspective, but I really want people, for me, it's like, I want people to trust themselves. I want people to feel comfortable with themselves, with how the information's flowing through them, their connection with their soul, with their heart, their body, God, source, all of that. Even if it's wrong, like, part of it is, it's like, it's kind of like not wrong. I'm using that as a simple term. But even if it's just not aligned, right, for them, because eventually it'll come into alignment for them. But for me, what I would actually say, like, things that in the world are inverted. That would be the way I would say what we thought was up is really down. What we think for me, the big platform is what we think is care is really abuse.
And so if I were the unwoke person, the one that doesn't know, then I would ask, why are things inverted? What happened?
Yeah, then we go down the rabbit hole. That.
And we
Yeah.
proceed carefully.
Yeah, yes, because one of the things that's interesting, like that's been coming in for me, is talking about how reality is. There's a mirror. There's a mirror, right? And in that something's happened in the mirroring, in the reflection. Something in the way that the reflection of the world back to us has been twisted into something that it really isn't. So it's making this distortion of reality in a way that serves, we could say, I just like to call them, I have different names, but the Lites, I like to call them, or the psychopathic Decepticon controllers and their minions.
Yeah, I like some of them. That's so good.
I don't want to inspire hate of these people.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And by the way, for those of you who are watching and who'll be watching this as a podcast, every soul is divine. Every soul is a God spark. Some just don't remember that they are of the light and they've been playing in the dark. So we have to use adjectives in order to have people understand where we're going with this, but we don't mean any harm, and we're not incurring karma by adjectives that sound mischievous.
No, but
No.
we have to say there is a certain amount of psychopathy with, or psychopathy or whatever,
Right.
in how things have been carried out, and basically sociopathic as well. So yeah.
I like that you are here to encourage people to go into their heart knowing, because society is training people and has for centuries, if not thousands of years, to remain in their heads, where people then believe that the analysis is a good thing and that that's where all the answers lie. We're all hardwired the same way. You're psychic, I'm psychic, you're a healer, I'm a healer, yet everyone is hardwired the same way. Some veils are thinner than others. Some people might not want to do it in this incarnation, but to encourage people to go into that space, to thin their veil, to have them go from their head to their heart is fabulous. We don't create dependencies. We aren't here to preach. We are here, though, to share what we think is going on. Yet I do want to support you in your doing that. When people contact me or they see me, they'll say, well, do people, how often should I come? And I say, well, when you want to come next, there's no prescription. Oh, well, do people come? But you decide when you want to come next. Some people, I never see them again. It's up to you. This is not my creating a dependency. So we are encouraging you to go with your gut. And if something feels right to you, well, it's about feelings, basically. So if something feels right and good, go for it. Use your discernment. But it is important to know that there are people that are giving misinformation, and there are people that are appearing that they are of the light, yet they are playing in the dark. So again, check in with your senses. And if you have some information pass by you that someone who seemed that they were righteous, had integrity, really, got caught, or they were caught on a hot mic, take it into consideration. Because crazy things have gone on here.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that we get through life. to the ages, the varied ages that we do. Yes. When you really start to understand what's happening, it's like, wow, I can't believe I'm alive. That's amazing.
And I wake up, I speak with a friend and I go, I'm alive and I'm sane today. That's been my line lately.
That's a
Now,
great one.
I think that many people would say that this time in Earth's history has been prophesied.
Hmm.
Some people talk about this as Revelations, Book of Revelations. There are people that talk about the Mayan calendar that ended and Golden Age. Do you want to share? Because there are people that are going to want to know what your truth is. I think between the two of us, we could throw something out, and then whatever sticks for that person, they could incorporate what they believe with what we've said, or not.
Yeah, yeah. Well, to me, it's an interesting thing because I keep I would say reworking my theories on this, and
Same.
and so that's part of it is I keep trying to take in a different view of what's happening because I feel like it's like multifaceted, it's multi-dimensional, it's interdimensional, it's extra dimensional. There's a lot going on. And so one of the things that recently, because we were talking about revelations, because a lot, this is very interesting to follow I would say people who are following revelations, that the I would say I just call them the Christians that are
Mm-hmm.
really following the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this, like, just listening to them, because I'll take in all different kind of views on this.
Yeah.
And I said, it feels like it's describing what's happening now. Like, did this not happen yet?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, did that not happen yet? What was said to have happened in the past?
Meaning that this already happened, but we just have to catch up to it. So a prophet saw this in the future, and then it was written for us to now get to that point to then
Yeah,
see and
right,
embody.
right. And then I have another view which says if we're moving into another epoch, like an epoch. So some of this will be more the Rudolf Steiner-esque influence view. If we're, his idea is that we were on a U-bend, and like the last part of the U-bend going down was Egypt, and we're climbing back up. So we were across from Egypt, and now we're going up, moving up to be across from Atlantis.
Hmm.
So then we have this kind of mirroring or reflecting of like what happened then, but in our current reality, unfolding backwards.
Hmm.
So I follow that line of thinking as well. And I also, like, if I go back to, even like if I go back to the Christian view, I think about, here's a template from Jesus Christ, Christ consciousness, Yeshua, Sananda, whatever name you want to give that that consciousness.
Yes.
And it's saying this is how you act as a creator on earth. And that there's this, like, well, now we have to do it, like, if we want it. So I would say my personal view is that we are creators. If we want to embody creator essence, we have to accept all the responsibility of that, which means we have to manage our thoughts, manage our emotions, because if we don't, we willy-nilly create things that we don't want to. It's like Fantasia, right? He says the spell, and all these
The brooms.
the brooms and the water, and he can't control it.
Right.
And he can't control it. So basically, we are these beings who have this creator essence, where I believe that we can manifest out of thin air. I always hope one day something's going to pop in my hand when I say that.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't really gotten to the point where we can manage our energy, light, consciousness, all of it, to be able to do that. And now this is like, well, you have to start to learn how to do that.
That's
That's my
beautifully said.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
thanks. That's my personal kind of like, and I still follow like a lot of other little theories, like I shared one that said that there's a theory that the world ended in 2012 and we're in a black hole. I'm like, oh, this is a fun theory to follow.
Not. That's called, and we just went off the abyss.
Yeah, there you go. Like that. So I like to look at all of it because it can. One of the things is, it can, for me, it'll help me remember what I need to, or create this connection in my soul for that information that I need to see about that.
What I like about what you shared is that it's not scary, that what people are experiencing is so tense and cryptic and shadowy, which
Mm-hmm.
is not a bad thing, because when that's to be looked at, but that people can normally, like as a human, can conclude that it's bad, that this is a bad thing that's happening now. And what you shared, it just is.
Mm-hmm.
And that when we look at, and I believe that's because creator is loving,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that we wouldn't be effed with. This isn't effery, because we're all loved to begin with, and that this is for learning's sake, and we have opportunities all the time. So everything that's before us, everything that you shared, it just is. So for, I think for those that are watching now, listening, just, you might want to listen again to what Jennifer shared, because it's like a chill pill,
Mm-hmm.
right? It just is. Things unfold divinely. Um, the universe loves balance. And if it's unbalanced now, it means that we need to take a look at what's wrong, what's
Mm-hmm.
within. That mirroring, like you said, that's the mirror. So people's fears, people running away from, people hiding, people addicted, people shouting, people blaming, that's all out there. That's fabulous. How it's so juicy.
Yes.
So look and see what you're doing inside. Do you judge? Are you an addict? Are you fearful? Are you hiding?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a blamer? Are you a controller?
Mm-hmm.
All these things are out there. It's spirit's way of saying, work on your stuff. And it's so concentrated now. It's kind of like going to the frozen food section and getting a concentrated can of orange juice. Now, we could take the can of orange juice concentrate and we could put it into one of those Tupperware pitchers, and we could just melt it and drink it. That would suck. Or we could put water in it until it's the right consistency and mix it around, shake it, and then drink it. So how do you want it? Do you want this concentrated where it punches you? Or do you want to give a little bit of love, dilute this stuff? It's not so great when it's concentrated, but when you pour the attention to it, you mix it on up, you can see the molecules better, it tastes the way it should.
Mm-hmm.
We have choice about how we're going to go about addressing what's going on too. It's
Yeah.
what are you going to do with it, if you even do anything with it? You don't have to do anything, by the way. There are no shoulds. You could put your head in a hole. It might not work out very well as the ostrich, but you can, because again, this is Baskin Robbins, and there are people that are refusing to use this as an opportunity.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the orange juice concentrate analogy. And I'm like, yeah, some people are drinking the concentrate and then brushing their teeth right after too, if we want to add insult to insult to our system. Like,
Absolutely. And then you have, excuse me, a shitty toothbrush. I mean, like, oh shit, that's like orangey, ugh, with mint. Like, really?
it's so bad.
Bad.
Okay. But I love that because you're saying like pour the water in, pour the love in, pour that loving perspective in into that concentrate, because and let it, like I
We're
just
the container.
yeah, and the container and the whole analogy is just amazing. And then the way that you express it is so,
Thank
it's
you.
just so simple. It's effortless. It's like that people can digest that. Like what you're sharing to me
No pun intended.
feels very digestible.
Well, my theory about what's
Yeah.
going on is, I feel like it's a combination, like you know how you put together things.
Mm-hmm.
right? This and that. I don't know. And mind you, I don't hang my hat on this because I believe that when the ultimate truths are there for us, I'm just going to laugh because that to me is always the best way. Like, oh my God, it was like 8 out of 10 right or 5 out of 10 right. But if it's 2 out of 10, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even care. I just want the band-aid off, right?
Let's
I want
go.
the freaking band-aid off.
Yeah.
From what I've read, about 350, 300, 350,000 years ago, the earth was taken over by darker forces. Our DNA was messed with.
Hmm.
This was going to be a love planet. This was going to be like a melting pot of many, many star beings and such, consciousness, just many, many from around the galaxy and creation to come here, like a vacation spot,
Hmm.
love planet. And our DNA was dumbed down to 2 strands, so we were weakened, and we used to. I think we could live for a very long time, and then we now die and age and die and molt, and we were hybridized and really dumbed down. And that we had this veil come over us, and we forgot that we were all hardwired the same way with psychic abilities. And we had this karmic loop that we ended up getting recycled back. And for thousands of years, there was a plan to have at this moment, this epoch, EPOCH, a time when there would be the opportunity to ascend and go to a love planet. There was this plan to get rid of us, to depopulate us, to control us as with artificial intelligence. And like we said at the beginning, you said about the inversion,
Hmm.
to invert. So I had read and channeled material that at this time in Earth's history, everything would be inverted and that people would be made dizzy. So people wouldn't be able to know, in fact, what is truth. So many people have given up, which is also what was planned, is that people would get so frustrated that they wouldn't know which way was up. And then they said, oh, well, screw it. I'm going to let others take care of it. And they wanted passivity because then people can be controlled easier. So I had read that every 26 plus thousand years, there's another epoch that ends in Earth's history. And there was Atlantis and I believe Lemuria. I'm not sure whether Ice Age and the flood and the dinosaurs were epochs as well, but we do know in our primitive education system in our history that the dinosaurs somehow disappeared and there was a flood and an ice age, but there's not much that's known afterwards. So I'm just going to throw in maybe those were epics.
Hmm.
So here we are, and I had read some channeling perhaps that spirit wanted us humans to have an opportunity, those of us that had developed spiritually, to have an opportunity to be part of an earth that was not controlled by dark forces, where people who were of more of service to other than service to self would be together, where people had developed spiritually along where they would move into a fifth dimensional playground. And it would be and where the veil would be thinned to where we would return to our psychicness, um, and probably that there would be disclosure that our galactic brothers and sisters would return and they would show themselves, and that we would come into knowing who we are, our origins,
Hmm.
our true essence, what our strengths are. We would meet our beloved soulmates and pair if people want to be in a relationship, and that we would have med beds where we would be healed, free energy, cleaning up of the air and the land and the water, barter economy, um, and living for hundreds of years. So it sounds kind of out there for people who haven't considered it, but for people who've been doing the research, like you and me and other people who've been watching, it might ring true with what you've shared, what I've shared. And I know I said a lot more, so I don't know if you want to add more of what, if there's anything more of what I shared to embellish or challenge, although it's not like
Yeah.
point counterpoint, but if you agree, disagree, or to add to the pot, because anything is possible.
Well, anything's possible. And I really love what you shared because it feels so heart centric. It really does just feel so heart conscious. And also I feel like it's a possibility for all of us, that this is a possibility for all. And I think about when you say being alive for hundreds of years, like, people might go, I don't like, you think about life now. Would you want to be alive for hundreds of years in the way this reality is? Most likely not. But if the reality were different and you could possibly do this and be on another star system, you might be want to be alive for hundreds of years because you'd be experiencing different things, and you'd be able to travel. You'd be able to move in the universe in a different way, which that's to me is probably the biggest frustration. Like, I actually literally feel it in my body, is that, and it's amplified now, of course, with what's going on, but that feeling of, I feel like we should be able to, and I know "should's" one of those words, but we should be able to travel at the speed of thought, even with our
I think we
physical,
used to.
yeah, even with our physicality, um, and that there's a lot of, I would say, a lot of technology, kind of machinery, kind of whatever it is that has been constructed to really keep us from finding our, or embracing, or being able to express our full potential.
Yes. Yes.
That and to me, it's hard for, I can see how hard it is for people to take that in, because we have no real tangible examples of this. If we do, they've been hidden.
Right. It's interesting because in Hollywood movies, there's
Mhm.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
Yeah.
Factory. There's Wizard of Oz. Now, I don't want to get into any of the creepy parts of things, but in terms of the lightness of them, why can't you create a chocolate factory? Why can't you do that in your head? You can.
Yeah.
Why you can create going out and finding Oz and having magical lands. And we are able to do this with thought. We have been told that we're not. Yet Hollywood is saying we can, but they might be inverting things, but we can just turn it upside into that Christed
Mhm.
light and create a nirvana.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It feels like, it's right here. It's right here.
Mm-hmm.
And it would, to me, this, what it's like, if more people knew, there would be things being broken through at a much more rapid pace. And we think about how some of the information that is truth about what's going on is very ugly. It's very disturbing. It can be very difficult and to take in, right? And a lot of us people don't need to take that in, especially if you have trauma that's similar, or it pokes at the trauma that you have.
Right.
And so it's like, if that crazy amount of darkness is happening, well, we could have a crazy amount of lightness and possibility as well.
So people have to do their work.
Right. So people have to do their work. People, I mean, if more people understood that, and also understood, like, here's the polarity of darkness that's been expressed, or it's been expressed in the darkness. It's not even, in my mind, it's like, we want to call it dark because it's in the dark. But I don't even want to vilify the dark, because I like nighttime and I like to have the lights off and I like the time
Lower
when I,
vibration,
yeah,
lower
yeah,
vibration, the
vibration, right.
unknowingness.
Yeah. And so part of it is like, this has been done. They do tell us what they're doing, and they tell us through movies. That's how they reveal what they're doing in the places where we are not, we don't see, or we don't experience, or a lot of us don't go there. But then at that same time, we can look at it and say, if this can be done, then this can be done. This,
That's right.
you know. And so I think people are getting lost in the lower vibration and not realizing that we could have not in reaction to, but we can have a much higher vibration experience. And I love that you mentioned the Wizard of Oz, because I want to it reminds me of, we wanted to talk about the perception or frequency fence, because to me the Wizard of Oz, you think about black and white and then color, like there's a whole
Mhm.
frequency fence, right? She goes to a whole
Mhm.
other realm.
Right. Great example. Do you want to share about frequency fence? It was on your
Okay.
wall.
It's fine. No, you can start and then I'll share. I would love to hear what you
Well,
yeah.
that term was in a penned piece which I saw on Jennifer's wall, and it was just another way of describing how people are in different on different timelines, where people, it seems that there's a split now of people who believe one thing or another. So there are people who are believing that there is an illness that is deadly and that we need to wear masks, we need to distance, we need to shut down the world, and that controls need to be put in place, and that this is good and this is the way it is. And then there's another group of folks that believe that there's a manufacturing of a story to set up a situation so people are controlled and subjugated, and where there's a dark plan
Mm-hmm.
involved with this. And so and they both sound scary, yet the ones that believe that there is an agenda to control actually see a light. Many souls see a light. I have to say that some of the people that see an agenda do not see a positive outcome. So I think the point of it really is that there are different timelines. We call them timelines. So depending on your belief system would determine what your outcome is. So the people who are in a fear-based timeline, they could be the ones that don't know and the ones that do know, yet the outcome is negative. Fear, lower vibration, limitation, and there could be hate, judgment, name calling, contempt, revenge, vile concepts. And then you have others that are of a higher vibration in terms of acceptance, wishing for peace, using the heart to envision positive outcome for a great reveal in order to unify people on a grand scale, to move people into a higher dimension. So it might sound cosmic. Hope that I didn't lose people, but it's
No.
okay. It's okay, because some of you might understand this verbiage. Back in my day, I did not, but here I am. This is the way I speak, go figure. So point is that if you are vibrating at with fear, if you are fearful, it is easier for you to be controlled. It seems that when you have enough people that are vibrating at a lower frequency, negative energies can easily just tip one domino, and then everyone at once as a collective can be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are, oh, and also that group that is of the lower vibration, it seems that they are not, as this person who penned it, they are not free thinkers. They rely on external forces to tell them what they are thinking and feeling. It seems that the ones that are of higher vibration are thinking for themselves. They are questioning external realities that are being presented to them. And that seems to be a linchpin. It seems that when a person is questioning what is coming in, that they have more control for themselves there, which leads them to not be controlled by external forces. And then there's a sense of relief, and then there's joy, and there's acceptance, and then you start learning about your ability to manifest and rid yourself of things that don't work anymore. And then you have difficulty being with people who are of a lower vibration.
Yeah.
Go for it. What do you,
Yeah,
what?
no, it's, I love that. It's just, there's a, like, I'm taking in, like, I'm integrating, I'm digesting what you're saying, and I really appreciate it. And it's, there, I love how you explain this, how the vibration, what could be in that lower vibration, those emotional states, right? And what in those emotional states that could be in the higher vibration. And, I'm reminded, I think about this all the time. What we know, at least if what I have read from Native American history, is they didn't know the pilgrims were there because they had never seen a boat like that before. They'd never seen a ship, a sailing ship. And so they didn't see it because they had no reference in their mind
Wow.
for that thing. I mean, that's what I've read. So I always think about that. That's why I say this space is full. Like there could be a spaceship right here. Maybe I can't see it. I could be sitting in a spaceship right now. Maybe we can't perceive it because in some ways our mind I feel like creates a fence anyway,
Right.
of a library of what is known. And then we have, but there's all this possibility, right? So um, I also think that in a way the movies have backfired because they're introducing things that are real, but they're saying they're fake. But our mind's eye is gathering more information for that library of what is a possibility for what is known in our reality. So then we get to see that. So for me, it's like that frequency fence is. There are times where I feel like people who are at such a low vibration, there's two things. Like they may not even see you. You may not even be in their perceptive awareness, or they have something on them that inspires them to come at you because they want some of that food, and then they're aware of you. So to me there's like there's two possibilities. Yeah, so because I can feel that sometimes, or like if you've ever, I know you've walked through New York City, but walking through New York City at night, I mean, I've walked through alone. I've never had a problem, never, not once. And so,
Yeah.
you know, but I remember one night walking with a friend, and there was you could see it was a homeless guy. You could see there's a lot of mental instability, and she started getting afraid, and she was closer to him, and I'm like walking, but what happened is I felt her fear, and it literally pinged him, and then he started screaming and turned towards us. Meanwhile, he wouldn't have. She literally jumped. I swear she jumped over me.
Mm.
And I just kept walking, and she said, why didn't you get upset? Why aren't you scared? I'm like, because he didn't come at me with a knife or a gun. He's just in his own space. But what happened was that fear that she was emanating, it,
Drew him.
it drew him. It drew whatever is, I would say, kind of feeding off of his energy.
And so he wasn't in your movie. He was
No.
in her movie, but because the two of you were together, his vibration was lower. She lowered her energy. He popped into the movie screen where you were.
Yes. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't have a problem. Like I was fine. My heart didn't race and nothing, like my breath, nothing changed in my physical experience, but hers changed drastically.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's a great example.
yeah. And I love that example. And I'm grateful for her for that example. And I don't want her to be afraid, but it was a perfect example because I could feel he was fine. I could feel the whole thing starting to play out, her fear building because he was talking to himself, and then it pinging him, and him, it was like, oh, this is interesting to witness, in my movie, which I love that you talk about this movie. And do you want to share a little bit more about that?
I just believe that this is a movie, that this reality is part of a school. It's a training ground, and that we create our thoughts. Excuse me, we create our reality with our
Yeah.
thoughts, and that we get to choose the characters. Some of this is pre-birth planned, others it's post-incarnation free will choice, and that between the pre-birth planning and the post-incarnation free will choice, we've got this great learning opportunity. We can call it a movie set, Broadway play stage, whatever you want to call it, a TV show, studio. But whatever the case, you get to choose who you want on your set, and you have control over the outcome. So regarding what's going on in the world today, some people are calling it the new normal. That's not what I'm having in my movie. I'm saying this too shall pass. This is temporary. For the people who say this is the new normal, they might be going down a timeline, a reality where it's like that indefinitely. That's not my story.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of getting through to people regarding what's going on, some people might be listening to what the two of us are saying, and they're like, oh my God, they are so fucking insane. Excuse me, I did say F. I hope YouTube that we're okay, but it could be bleeped. It's not made for kids, okay?
No, it's not.
It's made for kids, not made for the kids. Go to sleep. So if you don't understand what we're saying, it might mean that you haven't been venturing along in the way that we have, and that's fine. I used to not believe any of this, nor did I talk like this. I'm happy where I am. So some people might judge me. They might think I'm nuts, but it's just fine. I'm happy in this way. I'm having a great time in this movie. So with this frequency fence and what's going on, we have the opportunity as souls to do our work. And that I remember reading in the literature, the channeled pieces, and it said around this time, 12/21/12 and on, the beginning of this golden age of Aquarius, the shift, the goal, that as the energies come in, if you need to work on your fears, you need to work on your addictions, you need to work on your shticks, because when these energies come in more and more, these higher vibrations come in more. If you haven't worked on your issues, and then it was like a ... and they didn't tell you. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm the Virgo type A goody. I'm like, oh, well, Joanie has to get rid of all of her phobias and her issues. And then I'm doing all my forgiveness work because I don't want to incur karma, because it got to me. There was something, it pushed a button. And I'm like, you know what? I believe that whoever's done this channel work is bringing in good stuff. That was my truth. And I thought, there's something going on here. And it's new to me, but I'm going to heed this. It was an advisement. It wasn't a warning, like you're going to drop dead if you don't. But it was enough to unnerve me, and it didn't feel right. So I had the fear of going through the toll plazas, the Garden State Parkway, the New Jersey Turnpike. I was afraid of getting lost and driving to places I didn't know where I was, et cetera, et cetera. Worked through the issues. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job today. And I now, I can go down deep, dark rabbit holes. I feel strong and secure.
And you can get on the New Jersey Turnpike.
And I can do all that now because I did the tapping. I did the EFT tapping, and then miraculously I was healed with that. And now here we are. So we have these high energies coming in. Time is collapsing upon itself. Supposedly there's a Fibonacci spiral, and time is going to 0 point, and we're here. And I'm watching that the people who haven't done their work are combusting. And I would say to the people who haven't done the work, and here we are with the high energies and the shift and revelations and all of that, I would say do the best you can. Take a look at your issues. You might want to write them down, prioritize, do what's in your control, let the rest go, get help, journal, make a meeting, Um, do what you need to do to work through your issues, because you will find more serenity within. And all of these challenges with this virusy thing, these are all opportunities. So if you're damning reality right now, you can, erase and delete and go back. And instead, take a look at everything before you and ask yourself, what can I learn from this and this and this and this and this?
Mhm.
This is kid in the candy store opportunity now. This is where you can do so much soul growth. It's all of people's crap is up now. All of the dark stuff is there for us to decide whether we're going to buy into stuff or whether we're going to question it, reject it, shelve it. Do your work, try and raise your vibration, heal, because more is going to hit the fan, I believe,
Mhm.
and that the more anchored you are in truth of who you are, the more centered and clear you are, more healed you are, the better you'll be able to handle what is revealed.
Mhm.
What would you say? What would you add to this?
Well, it's interesting we're talking about this. It started thundering, so I'm just gonna say a caveat. If you lose me, it's because the power went out. I'm
Yep.
on an island, folks, and it almost never it doesn't thunder and lightning here very much. So it's interesting that all the thunder's coming up as we're talking about where do your work.
Love it.
And so that's, to me, it's like, yeah, this is a time for spiritual growth. Like, so people, even I know I'm watching these certain light workers or energy healers like just bury their head in the sand. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you could grow so much right now. It's ridiculous. Like, in the face of all this, there's the growth potential is like, it's like almost unmeasurable. And so people, it's like, that's why, one of the reasons I feel like we're all here is to have this growth opportunity in the face of all this stuff. And we're
Mm-hmm.
not going to talk about the stuff because you find the rabbit hole that you feel like you need to go down with information, and find the truth, right, that works for you, or that, to me, it's like, be on the path of growth. And I wanted to say something that came to me while you were talking, where you were saying between pre-birth planning and post free will choice in life. I had this, like, I'm like, oh, I had this, like like this, like, oh, I'm just going to ask that my post birth free will choices are aligned with my pre birth planning, the highest coherence, and that's it. And I'm just going to trust that's all I have to do.
Beautiful.
I'm like, oh, this is a great little tool that Joanie just helped me unearth.
Oh, I'm glad.
So thank you for that.
I'm glad.
But so, and you can use that as a coping tool, like, and just trust. So for me, it's like, look, there's so much, and it's so, to me, it's such, the big thing is, it's very, the name of the game is disempowerment, like taking you out of your power, taking you out of your creative energy, bringing you into fear,
Mm-hmm.
bringing you into your shadow with no way out.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were saying in the beginning, it's kind of like, if you've ever been really pummeled by a wave and you've been under the water, you don't know which way is up. That's what it feels like, and it's scary as hell, because
Mm-hmm.
you don't even know if you're going to get to the surface again. You don't know if you're going to get the clarity of air or oxygen again, and that's part of the
Mm-hmm.
thing, that only take in what feels nurturing to you and nourishing for you. Recognize the times of day that are okay for you to take in the darker information.
Yes, good.
Like, so you have processing time. Like, don't do it right before bed and then shut your devices off and close your eyes, because you're going to go into an astral realm connected with that information. Give yourself time to just process through it, and put space between you and it, and realize you're watching it because you're trying to gain truth, but you're not trying to create that as part of the reality. You're looking at the false reality and saying, well, this is not the reality I want to create. But I recognize, it's part of, like, the mindset is, sometimes you need to see the level of, I would say, abuse and toxicity that's been happening to people, because it's so hard. I see it all the time. People don't understand. I say, why are they doing this? This is the big question for me, for my clients. Why are they doing this? Like, well, one thing I will reflect to that person is the reason why you can't wrap your head around why is because you're a heart based, loving person.
Right.
And you would never think to do this.
That's right.
Never cross your mind to treat another being this way ever. But these
And,
people, yeah,
well, and many people don't want to start doing that work and going down that hole because they know that what they're going to be learning isn't heart based.
yes.
So there's an avoidance of the pain, which is fear based, but actually, if you can spiritually distance yourself while doing this research, you can have the best of both worlds. You could learn truth, you could have things revealed to you, your veil is thinned, and as long as you have it at arm's length and remind yourself it's a movie, that then you can shed yourself, rid yourself
Mhm.
of the lies, the untruths, and then you come into your power again. But
Yeah.
many people don't want to go to those non-heart places.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, I grew up, part of my growing up years was in a haunted house. Now that was very interesting. And not just haunted, like I had aliens walking through my room. Like I had stuff happening on a daily, nightly basis. That, some of it was trying to bring a lot of fear into my experience. Some of it was kind of like just spiritual connection, but I had no reference. I had no
You didn't know.
library for that.
Mm.
And I didn't ask my parents about it because I knew they wouldn't know. And I actually didn't want anybody, I did not want anybody else's perspective on it. I didn't want anyone else to
Mm.
tell me what I was experiencing. So I just let those things happen. And that, from the time I was 8 till, the time I was like 17, 18, this was like an everyday thing for me. And so for me, I can go to those places because of what I've seen with my, naked eye in life. And so I can go there without creating trauma in my energy.
Well, you roll differently from so many because even at a young age, you weren't saying, mommy, mommy, daddy, daddy, what this is what happened. What is it? You wanted to go stay in your heart knowing. So you come in not from around here, higher dimensional being, reaping, 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 honing your ability to come up with your truths. And that is a testament to who you are. And we thank you for coming into this incarnation because you've been doing this for a very long time to assist others. So thank
Well,
you very
I'm
much.
getting teary because it is about assisting others. Because it's like part of it is if I look at every person and I'm like, just think about it. Every person has a key. Every person has a key to understanding or to kind of hacking this reality, we could say, that will help you, right? It might be a key you need to that open that door of consciousness or way of being for yourself. And
Mhm.
think about these people. This is how like their feet are touching this earth. Like that to me is like a very sacred thing when your feet are touching this earth and we're here together. And I really, all I want to do is help, and do the best that I can. I haven't always done the best. I mean, I've done stuff that, of course I've had to work through shame and,
Human, human.
all kinds of stuff and, saying things that were horrible to
Thank you.
people, all of
Thank
that, like,
you.
like all that stuff. And, part of it is just for me, it's like, if you can, like, I'm not saying everybody has to take in the deep, dark stuff,
No.
but what I feel like is people just what would be really nice if people just said, okay, well, someone on the news is telling me this. Let me go do some research. Let me see if that's true. Let me see if that's real. Is that something I want to create in my reality? No. And so if we can just get to that point where we say it's like this very strange, and we can go back to the frequency fence of like the world of, you know, um, I would say mainstream media and news, the world of entertainment, the world of sports, the world of authors, the world of people that are famous or have influence. is a very illusory world. We're in this reality. And so part of it is you have to say, okay, well, these people are promoting an illusion. So is this really true? Like, what's really true here? And if we could all come to that understanding that those people are participating in something to get us to think a certain way, then we have a choice to say, well, I don't know if I want to think that as truth.
I have a theory.
Okay, good. I love theories.
And I concluded this based on my having been a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that many people are walking wounded, and there's no judgment in my saying that, and that they didn't have the basic love offered to them. Um, Neglect, abandonment, abuse, basic love not being offered or received offered appropriately, if at all, by their mother, father, caregiver. So if they haven't done the healing work, the person remains with that grief and the unhealed self, and that they believe that big mommy, big daddy authority figure, and it could be local government, it could be PTO, Pres, it could be Boy Scout, Girl Scout leader, it could be the mayor, the police chief, it could be the celebrity, the author, the athlete, government official, it could be the singer, the TV show star, whatever, that they have my best interest in mind, that the overarching umbrella government, perhaps the
Yeah.
leaders have my best interest in mind because they need to have some type of a big mommy or big daddy love them.
Yeah.
So it's a very threatening thing to consider that maybe there are ones that are in charge that might not have your best interest in mind. Now, you and I are, we go down these darn rabbit holes and have learned some things. And that I believe that this is questionable regarding the ones that are the umbrella. So we do have, so I believe that part of the reason why many people stay below the fence in a lower frequency is because it's too threatening. Many people's egos would be shattered, their psyches would fracture, and that their basic sense of control would be lost.
Mm-hmm.
And that people hold on to a belief that everything is okay, that I'm being taken care of by external forces. We are the masters of our domain, and we need to go into the feelings. And I believe that we need to listen to our heart's knowing and do the free thought versus relying on external sources to tell us what is our truth. This isn't child's play here. We are at the end of a big friggin' epic.
Yeah.
And the other part I want to say too is that I still am not quite sure what will happen. There's talk of the solar flash, there's talk of a
Oh, yeah.
separation of two Earths,
Mm-hmm.
there's talk about how, there'll be this great reveal and that people who are of a lower vibration may be dematerialized like Star Trek with the phasers, and all of a sudden they're not there. The meek shall inherit the earth. Who goes where? Do we stay or do we go? It's mind-boggling. And that I've been playing this over in my head for years. And my conclusion is it could be anything. And that I don't have to know. I surrender. I'm not hanging my hat on any of the things I just mentioned. And that when I spiritually distance from it and go to a neutral stance and view it from the seats in the movie theaters and look at the screen, then I can better deal with this entire cryptic situation.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that we have not been forsaken.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that spirit, God's source, is a loving consciousness, which we are all part of, and that we're not being punished, and that those of us who are playing in the light, that are heart-centered, that wish to, as I say, have a Woodstock, um, and are more service to other than service to self. I believe we're going to be seeing miracles. I am, as Abraham Hicks, as Esther Hicks, who channels Abraham, for those of you who know,
Mhm.
um, she would say, you don't have to ask how. That's already taken care of. Don't ask how. And why is really rhetorical. You don't really need to ask why. Although I ask why, I ask why and I
Yeah.
get answers. I think it's pretty cool, but it's more so the how. You don't have to know how something is going to unfold or how it's going to play out. If you believe in an Sarah just Sarah, if you believe in the rollout of gazillions of dollars that we'll all get, if you believe the med beds will be revealed, if you believe in self-disclosure, excuse me, not self-disclosure, in galactic disclosure,
Disclosure.
if you believe in agelessness and telepathy and remote viewing and teleportation, then if you believe it enough, if you are coming from a good place and it's for your highest good and the highest good of all, then that is what your reality will be shown to you. And I'll say also that I talk about Krispy Kreme donuts all the time, and it sounds so trite. Yet I have something, I don't know what, about the white cream. It's
Yeah.
just crazy. And so I created Krispy Kreme to be 20 minutes from my house. Now I believe it because it's unheard of. There are only like 3 maybe or 4 in New Jersey, and there's
Mhm.
one 20 minutes from my house. Do I eat them? Maybe twice a year, because I would grow and become a Krispy Kreme donut. But the point is that I've been saying this for years. It's now manifest. I also had said years ago I wanted to have a radio show, and then one day a client shows up in my home and I say, oh, I'd love to do radio show at the university. And she says, well, I'm the station manager, let's make it happen. And I did it for 3 years. So if you say it enough and you believe it enough, you go and you create that reality. I suggest that we all jump on board the love train and take what's going on right now and say, whether we rip the band-aid off or whether it's just unfolded, hasten it, make it happen, so we could all just get to where we need to go, so we could all have one big lovin'. Now, I
Yeah.
just rambled for a while. Please add.
Well, I love this because I feel like that whole thing is like to me. It's all about creation. It's about creator. It's like if you want to create reality, create it. Don't let anything get in the way. Don't let anything stop it. Don't let anything that anyone has ever told you or like that's it. You have to. This is one of my tools, maybe it's because I was born on a Thursday. But I envision myself hitting the earth with Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, when I want something to come into reality. It's just my thing. It's just a thing, and I let the hammer hit the earth, and I leave it alone. Meaning, I just know it's like that's it. This is going to happen, and I try not to mess with it and doubt. Like then I don't look at it again like with doubt. That's the whole thing. Like, well, it didn't happen yet. It didn't happen yet. It didn't or like, it's kind of like what I asked for, but not really. Like, so part of it is like, it's like, just trust, like that these things, you can do these things that you can
Yes.
create. And so for me, it's just trust that. A part of it is having enough of that kind of discipline, just leave it alone after that. Like literally don't doubt it. Like, and why not play? Why not play with what you want to create? I for years said I want to live near a mountain, but I still want to be close to the ocean. Do
Mm,
you know I'm surrounded by mountains and I'm very close to, I'm not on the ocean, but I'm close to the ocean.
mm.
For years, I've been saying that. I
And
was
you
like, really?
created it.
And I created it. It took a lot to get here, but I created it.
Fabulous.
So that's to me, it's like trust this and trust that process and understand that I feel like for me, it's like the more people that are using their creative energy, um, and embracing it and claiming it, the less hold these and whatever this other inverted reality has. It's again, it
Yes.
starts to dissolve, and it's already dissolving. It's like why we're seeing it. We wouldn't see it. It's kind of like it rose to the surface, and we're watching it break apart.
as I'm having a hot flash. So people are wondering why I'm pink.
Oh,
As I
you're
sip my
glowing.
water.
You're glowing.
I'm glowing. They call it ascending.
I gotta have a case of ascending right now.
That's right. I ascend every night like 4 times, 5 times every night I ascend.
I love
Very
that.
good. I'm telling you. Woo!
Yeah, I see it. I see
Whoa!
it.
There we go. There we go. Let's see. It's 8:15. I'm just thinking. I'm looking at.
Well, we don't
Oh,
have
I know
yeah,
what I'd like
we
to.
don't have any questions or comments. So
Are there any viewers? Do we see any?
we have one. We have one. We have
Good.
two. We have one. Yay!
There we go. It's okay. We'll be on a podcast, and who knows.
Yes.
So you and I had spoken before about who to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to just say that when I started waking up around 2003, 4, 5, I started following spiritual gurus and reading books and reading articles and seeing videos and seeing advertisements for where people were speaking and this and that. And then I watched patterns and I heard stories. And today, I believe that there are ones that are controlled opposition, if we're just going to like put it right out there. And there are the ones that are acting as if they're playing in the light, but they are playing in the dark. And some of them give good product and others are moving people away from truths, or they're saying certain things that are true and other things that aren't. Then there are people who aren't so well known. And there are people that you listen to their channel or you read their transcription and it's feeling good. And all of a sudden it's like they were just psychically attacked and they were just taken over and their channel was compromised. So what I would say to people, and then I'm going to ask you, is I would just say to people, you go with your gut. Don't hang your hat on what anyone, not even what we say.
Yeah, of course.
Don't hang your hat on anyone's words because there's your truth, my truth, and the truth. We are not here to hero worship. We're not here to have gurus. We're not here to be dependent on what another person says in order to go through our day and make it through. If you've been following someone and then they shift, take note. If someone is saying something, but they always throw in a jab or a judgment, or all of a sudden they're revealing personal things about themselves that is inappropriate. Whatever the case, if they're making suggestions that seem inappropriate, if they are asking for tons of money, if they want you to if it's like a Ponzi thing and they keep trying to rope you in for more and more and more, and then they start asking for money, if the humility is lacking, any of that, you can stop. You don't have to continue. My heart broke when I learned that some of my gurus were really evil sons of bitches. No comma intended, just using adjective. Heart broke, mind screwed. But guess what? It's all part of the movie. So aren't there twists and turns in the greatest movie ever told? Yes. So you have Scooby-Doo, where at the end of Scooby-Doo, the mask comes off and you find out who the villain is. And I always say it's a Scooby-Doo moment. And I've had a lot of those with these spiritual gurus and channels, people who you admire their YouTube and then you pay for a service and you find out they're not channeling, they're pulling it out of there. So surprises, Scooby-Doo moments. You are your best healer. You are the truther for yourself. We assist. Our veils are thin. Jennifer's and mine are thin. We're here to assist, but we're bridges. So ultimately, hopefully in your respective incarnations, you become able to do what we're able to do.
Yeah.
Please add to what
No, I love that. I mean, really it's, what I would say is the person to believe in is yourself and to trust yourself. And then, because a part is we're looking for information to relieve us of certain things or to, like, we want to know what's happening, what's going to happen. Well, at some point, like, the reason why life is a mystery is because it's mysterious, and we need to, and mystical, right? That's where all those words come in. And for me, it's like, look, I could sit here and try to prep for every version of every, like, the plasma event, solar storm, the like, whatever, the FEMA internment camps, the food shortage, like all that stuff I could try to prep for. But really, I just feel like I will be able to handle whatever comes my way. And I feel like that's what we just have to do. And so part of it is, I know people are looking for information to give them a sense of where to go and what to do and how to be. But go into your heart. Just feel your heart. Just be in your body and breathe and just trust. Just trust. So it's just like you take in information, but just realize, I ask questions like, is this nutrient dense information for me? Like, is it nutrient rich, or is it empty calories? That's really how I frame it.
Beautiful. Love that.
If it's empty calories, I can just scroll on, and maybe some of it's
Right.
mixed. Like maybe you have some, organic avocado, but then you have like, you're having it coupled with like some really gross, low quality bacon.
That's
Like,
funny.
and so sometimes everyone's doing their best. Like, at least we, to bring information through and to be helpful. And so sometimes people, they don't know, like, sometimes people don't even know that they've been hacked into, or that they're anything like that. And that's why I
That's
say
right.
that. And I love that. Like, don't take what we say as gospel, because
Right.
you follow yourself. And for me, that would be the if you start following yourself and really trusting yourself, and you listen to 20 people I don't listen to, great. I'm happy. I'm happy for
Mhm.
you that it's helping you, create that nutrient kind of rich connection within.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's more to cover. I
Well,
would I would just say to people, don't be afraid. I would say that fear begets fear, and be your best friend.
mm-hmm.
And just that this, you can, this is all about perception. You could scare the out of yourself if you want to. You don't have to. You have control over how you perceive things, how you react, and that if you need help, find it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are having difficulty coping. There's a lot of anxiety, depression, insomnia, relapsing, abuse.
Mm-hmm.
uh, get help, see your doctor, see your mental health care professional,
Yes.
but remain grounded, eat well, eat cleanly, and exercise, rest, sleep enough, drink plenty of water, and pray,
Mm-hmm.
meditate.
Yeah. Do the things that bring you joy. you know do these things that bring you joy. Breathe. I love pray, meditate, these things. Read books that feel
Oh,
nurturing.
oh
Like,
yeah.
even if it's a fiction, fiction. So that's what I'm saying. Like, one thing that's interesting, and this is just a caveat, like, I'm not saying we should never look at entertainment again, but now we know, right? If you know what these people are bringing you, you can not allow it to control your reality, and you can enjoy it for what it is, for the show that it is, because it's a show, but it is showing you some other things as well. So, take in those things that just help you be cozy and comfortable with yourself. And I
Beautiful.
love that. I love what Joni's like. Yes, if you need help, people, that's the one thing I think people, they forget. Like, there are a lot of people that can help them, and they just have to find the one and reach out for that appropriate help that works for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, just take care of yourself. That would be it. Like, the most mothering advice I could give you. Nurturing,
You
right?
know, the two of us, just to even round this out, I
Yeah.
just feel your peace. And I feel that you and I are similar in the way that we are in this reality. You and I are coexisting on what I feel is a similar timeline. And that um, people watching this, they might say, how are they laughing? How are they calm? How are they not losing it? And I really believe it has to do with knowing that fear is not a fact. It is a feeling, it is an experience that
Mhm.
doesn't kill you. And that when you do a reality check and you pinch yourself and you go, well, would I really lose my mind if I just faced an issue about myself or questioned something in my life? If you, there are enough people around you, you know, spirit put people around you, you pre-birth plan to have people around you to lean on, to get support. We're all here. We're all one big love connected bunch.
Yeah.
You could manage working through your stuff and seeing that it's easier to manage than maybe you think.
Mhm. Yeah, and I will say, because I've had moments, like it's not like I'm sitting here this whole time like this, like relaxed and calm and laughing and enjoying Joni's company.
Right.
You know, when
Same.
yeah, when you're taking in information, there are times where I one thing that I watched, I had a full body trauma shaking release, but I knew what it was, and it needed to come out of my body. It needed to come out of my cells. It allowed me to release something that I actually wasn't even based on that information. It was a trauma I experienced when I was younger that never didn't get a full expression.
So it
So
was a
that
trigger.
so it was a trigger, and it was a beautiful
Right.
trigger. And then so that I'm only sharing that because you know, I don't look like this all the time, and there are times where I'm like, like
I say the same thing.
you know, like like I see what you're doing over there. Like don't think, so I have my moments, but
And
I
we're allowed to be angry. We're allowed to be horrified. We're allowed to go into a state of, oh my God, we're allowed to. It's just then what do you do with it? How long do you stay in that until you release and go, okay, I got that out?
yeah, just get it out. It's like just loud, and so that's when. But if you're stuck in there, that's when you have to reach out for help. Like if you just can't get out of it, then you've got, like, that's the whole thing. Like we're in it, and realize, like, when you reach out for help and you find that right person to reach out for help, you're actually helping. I mean, and not that you're helping them, but you know, we get to work together. It's nice to be able to come together, to be together, and to be together in love and in peace and in support for one another.
I'd like to do this again with you.
Yes, we need to do this. We need to do this on your channel too. So we'll figure that
We'll
out.
do this. We'll do this.
So,
I think that I mean, I hope that this assisted y'all. How could people find you if they'd like to have work with you?
oh, well, I was just going to ask you that because it's on my YouTube channel, but I have a website, universallighttechnologies.com. And so that's how people can find me. So how can people find you, Joanie?
You can go to my website, jonieswhitelighthealing.com. And that's JOANIES, white as in the color, light as turn on the light, healing.com. And you can find me on YouTube as well under Joanie Eisinger, EISINGER. And I think that it's very important for those of you who watch this to not only see us, but maybe venture off into other videos, books, articles, alternative sources where you can maybe take what we've said, take what others have said, and then go, oh, look at that. That's what they were saying. Or, oh, look at that. There's some overlap. It's really fun when you are doing your research to find some like-minded souls around, and then you start gathering up what your truth is.
Well, yeah. And also just tuning into your heart and your soul, and then seeing, what do you receive from that? What information are you receiving internally? And then what, maybe that's even a direction of saying, I think I need this book, you know,
Right.
or I need to listen to this person, or I need to listen to nothing, like, so,
Right.
so it's just, I think we're all here trying, like, if, what the world really looks like has been hidden from us. I can't wait to see what's real. What's our true loving reality. and how that we are in it together.
Amen.
Hmm. Yeah.
Amen. It's time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's time.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you for making the Zoom link.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much, Joni. And I know
Oh,
I really appreciate you, and I appreciate everything you offer, and
oh,
I
and
appreciate your
same.
perspective. So thank you for reaching out and 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 actually asking to do this. And we will do
Oh,
this again.
and thank you for uh, what you put. It really was. I keep I kept seeing what you had on Facebook on your wall, and I'm going, mm-hmm, yeah, uh-huh, yeah. Thank you for putting that out, sharing. Thank you. And I'm like, God bless her. And I'm going, there was such a similar
Mhm.
vibe that you had that I'm like, this is important. We, the two of us, when they say two, it's exponential. And
Yes.
that when you put two light workers together with the, with we giggle, we're tough broads. I'll call myself a broad. I don't know if you like to be called a
I
broad.
broad is fine with me. I could be a
There we
broad.
go. Because my boyfriend's like, "Hey, you broad?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a broad. I'm a New York broad." So two tough broads, and I don't know. It's like we'll make some miracles.
Yeah, no, oh, absolutely. So yeah, thank you. And thank you all for joining us, even if you are
Yes,
watching the replay. And if you
absolutely.
do have questions or comments, please feel free to share them below. And, lots of love and joy and aloha, as I say to everyone, and to Joni.
Peace to y'all.
Yay.